the original nature and the artificial man. The title for the theme is Returning to the Original Nature, returning to the Fitrah, defined as original nature. And I couldn't help but to notice for this 33rd convention that the title also is a definition for the term Eid, Eidul Fitr. Eid means off returning. And so we have a type of celebration going on here. 33rd carries high symbolism. It was the amount of time that Imam Mohammed taught. But when we go back and study the history, we see that Christ Jesus, upon him be peace, he taught for 33 years also. We're making just these little references. We want to keep connected at all times. Well, I thought it was appropriate just to start off and make those mild connections with some of our history, because whenever we come before each other, I find it of a necessity to try to connect back with the history to how we got to where we're at. So we have all this knowledge now. We've coming into scriptural knowledge. We've coming into business knowledge and social, community, language, linguistic knowledge. And so there's a need to always hold on to the roots. And like our dear brother Achebi, with that quote that he used from Imam Mohammed, that he said, be more like the tree whose roots reach deep and sends up a trunk from it, branches out, branches that are like the macula reaching out into the sky. Imam Muhammad made the reference that should be like visionaries reaching out hundreds of years into the future. A very profound statement, a very beautiful statement. When we look at the term fitrah, and we get, different translations but the term pattern of the nature seems to be more commonly accepted for most of us. And in this pattern, I've noticed that the term fitrah, sometime Allah uses it. He has a time when he introduces it as a pattern that he invoked. And I find Imam Mohammed in translating Quran recognized Deen first with fitrah. And so we've heard the definition for Deen. And I just wanted to bring that up because here, the pattern that really is the highest pattern for us is also associated with religion. But is it just religion with singing and dancing and all of that? No, it's not at all. It's more associated with a consciousness or an awareness of fulfilling an obligation that we have to the one that created us and the circumstance that creator put us in. This takes our intelligence or hints us in a certain direction. I mean, because you can have an imitation of the real thing. And we have many types of imitation. You have products that are originals, and then you have those products that are artificial. So I took a little time to look up the word artificial. And there's a lot of definitions for it, but basically it's a product or an effect by man to imitate nature. That's one of the definitions. Having the existence in legal or economic or political theory. So if we have concepts of something, but don't have practical application, that is considered artificial. And this is what many of the enemies who come in to give us help falling down, and not in sajda, give us help falling down. They give us a term that's double-edged, that'll work against us if we're not aware of it. Imam Muhammad, he covered so much material for us. He left us enough to study for a long time. He was truly a blessing from Allah, and he was raised up to give us a position to establish ourselves on an intellectual plane. Because when the intelligence is raised up, then everything else gets lifted up with it. And the intelligence cannot be raised all the way up until the heart comes into its makeup. What I'm doing is drawing a picture of an artificial mind, Because if a man that Imam Muhammad, he said, this is an artificial man. And then he said, I repeat, an artificial man. He sort of repeat that on one of his lectures. He was emphasizing that for a reason, because the effects from that kind of thinking have continually passed on. So we're going to have a society that has been developed, some by solid individuals, but much more of it is being influenced by a mindset that is outside of its correct nature or outside of obedience to the correct pattern that our Creator has made us all aware of. And so if we have practices and Allah give great health, but we have no in the management of our resources that we all need, if we say, if we recite Al-Fatiha every day, and we're supposed to do this multiple times a day, and in Al-Fatiha, there's one statement, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. And so we say, you alone, Allah, do we worship, and you alone do we nasta'in, do we seek for sustenance, for our existence, for our protection. Then if we ask for that every day, shouldn't we be working for that? And shouldn't we have a unified effort toward that? You all know, you men know that we should have a serious agenda that we're working for, and we are not working for it. Not all of us. And we should be working for it secretly and openly. And I have to say that to you as your brother. I love you. I love Imam Mohammed. I love, as I grow in knowledge, I love what has happened. I love my parents. I love the people that are like my parents. And I'm working to try to be a part of working to get it together. So when we look around in our communities and we don't see the industrious spirit anymore, find a way to set some agendas to educate ourselves, to strengthen ourselves, but also to find solidarity, a greater effort of unity than just lip service, just talking about we Muslims. Some of my money and some of your money should be given to the community interest where you live, and then another percentage should be given to the bigger community interest. Because after all, once a month, doesn't the mortgage have to be paid or your rent? Once a month, doesn't the light bill have to be paid? Once a month, does man cell phone bill, et cetera, every month for sure. And then through the week, you're going to have food and other things. Shouldn't we have something in our hearts for our community once a month? Now, sometimes my pockets are not as deep as they, so I might miss a payment. But believe me, I am working very hard to try to fulfill the very things that I'm saying. I'm not saying it to point out, I'm pointing in. I'm just sharing myself with you. After all, if you got to go to somebody else for everything that you own, you can't go to nothing that we own or very, very little. We should be embarrassed and not walking around gloomy. That embarrassment should get you up out of your bed at night, pleading with Allah to do more or to be a part of something more. I want to say that I love each and every one of you all, genuinely, seriously. And I believe the rest of the brothers, I believe we all have this, and the sisters have this. And that love is enough to change any obstacle if we really believe in it and we really work at it.